Hey everybody! Before we start today's episode, I would like to remind you that I recently started a gaming review channel. You can find the link to that channel in the description down below. It is labeled Konoa Reviews. On that channel, I review games, both old and new, and you can even request certain reviews by commenting on the videos on there. Please check it out, and if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and supporting me on that channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the episode. The Safari Park had just experienced its first real public disaster a few weeks ago. The Sinoceratops incident became world news, but people of course knew of the risks, so no further steps were taken to bring this to court. It did leave the Torosaurus and Styracosaurus pen damaged, and multiple dinosaurs killed. The fencing was repaired, and new dinosaurs were added to replenish the herd. This logistical operation was also the perfect time to add another species to the zone. The Sinoceratops would be a perfect addition. Though space was running out, meaning that not too many animals could be added, it was a taste of luck that the Sinoceratops could operate well on its own as in a herd. The beast was a lot sturdier than its zone's mates, and would fit right in, maybe even being given the position of herd leader by the rest. The Sinoceratops was sedated and moved. All while this was in process, plans were made for the last two zones to complete the route. The Sinoceratops was easily integrated in the trike-type herd. It was astounding to see how easily these creatures could adapt. They were a lot easier to deal with than the stego variations. The layout for the final zones had been finished, but it was now a question of what types of dinosaurs to add here. Something big or impressive looking would be a nice final farewell to the route, but the first zone of the two was a bit smaller, catering to smaller dinosaurs. But what small to medium type dinosaur could be impressive enough to make the visitors seem in awe? The Indoraptor. The Indoraptor had made quite the name for itself during its preposition when being groomed to fight the Indominus Rex that killed uncontrollably on the island back in the day. Unfortunately, the Indoraptor lost that fight in the end, but nevertheless, it would still be considered a highly popular attraction. What was more is that this time, an Indoraptor pack would be added. During the fight with the Indominus, there was only one single Indoraptor, but now there would be three. They mostly varied in color pattern regarding its stripes, but it was nice to see them eat, sleep, and drink together. Three would be perfect for the tinier size of the zone, and both drinking and eating spots were close to the road, giving visitors a great opportunity to get a glimpse up close. It would give a good view of their athletic build, adept at running and catching its prey. Of course, this time too, they were administered to be docile, meaning that the visitors had nothing to fear. When the rangers went inside for their usual test run to see if it would be a good attraction for visitors, they witnessed the Indoraptors following and observing the car closely. They prowled, almost seeming into an attack position, but never once did they threaten the rangers. They wondered if it was a hunting instinct that, though repressed, wasn't completely eradicated. This might have some guests worry, making it all the more important to emphasize that their aggressive nature was repressed and that they had nothing to fear. Then it was time to look towards the final zone, where a small adjustment to the route had been made due to a cumbersome hill. A carnivorous feeding zone had already been built, giving away what type of dinosaur would be added. The final showcase of the Jurassic World Safari Park would need to be one that lasted, and what better way than to achieve this by showcasing the park's biggest carnivore. The Giganotosaurus would be a worthy final display. Some argued to move the particular Giganotosaurus over that killed the Indominus Rex after the Indoraptor initially failed. But though a few were sure that some of the crowd would love that, the truth in the matter was that that specific Giganotosaurus was still in its natural state, meaning it would be prompt to attack visitors. These two newly manufactured Giganotosaurus had the same administered repressive genes, meaning they were as harmless as the others. They were sedated and moved to the final pen. This final zone was bigger than the Indoraptor zone, meaning it would be perfect for the Giganotosaurus. From this spot, visitors who arrived at the main gate by train could already catch a glimpse of these giants if they were lucky. One of the two had also a different color, but they were rather similar if one were to look from afar. Their large physique made them tower above the trees, and altogether made the pen look smaller than initially thought. But they rather seemed it to their liking, and what became very apparent is that both had an incredible appetite. Much more meat would need to be imported to satisfy these beasts. And for the rangers, the first glimpse they laid upon these dinosaurs had them awestruck. Though they might not be as aggressive looking as a T-Rex, their sheer size was enough to make a man cower. Unfortunately, this first test run did end in an internal disaster, as the giant dinosaurs stomped a car as they were running through the zone. Scientists were not sure if they were playing or if they felt threatened, but they did not continue to eat any of the bodies. They were currently too late and too far into the operation to alter things, so the incident was swept under the rugs to avoid panic. But others had a better idea. If another smaller dinosaur would be added, the Giganotosaurus would need to treat more carefully, as it is already to consider with a smaller species. More people agreed, and now the question was, what smaller dinosaur would be added? Though there were still herbivores to choose from, most agreed that another carnivore should be added to showcase the size difference with the Giganotosaurus. Thus, the Metriacanthosaurus was chosen to be added. Its bright green color pattern and orange and yellow stripes made it somewhat reminiscent of a poison tree frog in a sense. It was a rather small carnivore, being smaller than, for example, an Allosaurus. But it did have the desired effect. When the Metriacanthosaurus was added, it did change the pacing and behavior of her bigger counterparts quite a bit. Maybe they somewhat felt responsible or protective over it. In any case, test runs after this did not run in the same issue of the Giganotosaurus stomping all over the place. As the green of the Metriacanthosaurus was a bit similar to that of the bigger meat eaters, from afar they almost looked like a family, complete with infant being looked after by its parents. And thus the final zone was finished, meaning that now the route was complete. But there were still a few last things to do. There were still a few zones here and there where more dinosaurs could be added to spice things up or add more variety. Nothing too fancy, but just to fill up some space. And then, when that was finally done, and the park could officially be opened to all the people in the world, the rangers would showcase the entire route through a special tour.